So the revelation I had, I walked into the kitchen to get a drink of water, and I was freestyling, just rhyming out loud. Sometimes I sing, sometimes I freestyle rhyme. And I had said something, and it made me think of something came to me from somewhere else. And basically, the freestyle was about the river of time and how it moves in a circle, and that myself and whoever I was with, because it seemed like the way I was singing it, there was more people with me, had a cool boat that could float any way it wanted through the river of time. And as I was envisioning myself, picturing myself on this boat, it seemed like God stepped in and spoke to me and said, I'm in the middle. Because so whatever the rhyme was, it was something, and we're floating around on this really cool boat, and something about God's moat. And I was like, whoa. We, historically, as humans, have always built castles and homes and had these moats. Like those who have been capable build a river to protect their home around their castle, their home, whatever it may be, to create a miniature island. Now in my mind, I'm seeing the river of time moving in somewhat of a circle. And it morphed in my mind because it in reality moves as the infinity symbol, but in multiple dimensions. And this can be seen, and there's science about this, and actually a CIA declassified document that shows the universe itself, and I can't think of the word right now. It's not. Oh man, what is the term? It'll hit me at some point, or I'll look it up later and add to this. But that essentially, the way that the universe works is that there's one part that's a holographic reality, and another part that's this concrete reality, and that they translate to each other constantly. Oh man, I can't believe the name of this. It's like a mathematical symbol that represents the universe. Oh man, this is so crazy. It's evading me, and I'm watching this thing about amnesia, and I had a traumatic brain injury and temporary amnesia. So it's so funny. But anyway, back to the point. If we're floating around this river of time, some people just flowing through it the way the current is taking them, some of us having access to boats and awareness of how to get on and off where we choose, which you can look through history. I'm not the first to be speaking of this. The Orphics, the Orpheans, the followers of Orpheus back in ancient Egypt and Africa and Europe, Greece, understood the science of this. They had actual songs to remind themselves and wake up their souls to the memory of what they had in past lives and how to navigate this. And I've deduced that I was probably incarnated in that time, in that group, and that's why I have these memories in this lifetime and have ways of finding the knowledge and the keys that unlock what was once hidden. So anyway, this river of time, and I'm thinking, wow. And God, something stepped in and said, I'm in the middle. And I thought, wow, how curious, because that is a step beyond a hypothetical deity interacting with us in random ways. And then that bit of well, God is all living things, so there's a representation of God's consciousness that is stemming from me, and take that how you want it. But there's been, in recent times, like an individualized God consciousness, which is wonderful, but it's not ultimate. It's not connecting with the actual intelligence and consciousness of this being that created us all. We are, in a sense, activating the highest part of ourselves by acknowledging that God transmits through all things, and maybe especially human beings because of our capabilities beyond other species to our awareness. But maybe that's the human ego kicking in, and other species just don't have that ego, and they do what they're supposed to. I personally admire trees. I'm going to get tangented and sidetracked a little bit, but I admire trees the most because their entire lives, they grow straight up to the sun and branch out to provide shade and comfort and homes for dozens of other species. And then eventually will provide some type of fruit for other things to feed off and to propagate itself. So it's, got this kind of singular purpose. It keeps silent, it keeps still. It's what a lot of humans are now striving for, stillness and oneness and peace, and they've mastered it forever. So I've always admired trees. But anyway, it's just describing different forms of consciousness that we might put ourselves above, but we're not, ultimately. So this river, even if it's an infinity symbol, there is a center. There is a direct center point. And if we're thinking the universe is based off mathematics, which it absolutely is, that's valid, as valid as it can get, to understand more of the mathematics of deity, we can actually tap in to the place where the consciousness of deity is in a thought experiment. I suppose this would be qualified as a thought experiment, akin to when Einstein was figuring out E equals mc squared. He imagined himself a particle of light traveling through space, and by means of that thought experiment, understood the physics of himself as that photon traveling through space, and the feelings that encompass that, and was able to translate that through his consciousness and intelligence mathematically to come up with the formula for that action in his thought experiment. So this, similarly, anybody who utilizes this thought experiment has the potential and the probability to connect with the mind and consciousness of deity. So imagine yourself in a river that's circular. So the river goes like this. It's a closed circle, and if you want to twist it into an infinity symbol, you're more than welcome to. But for the case of this thought experiment, keep it a simple circle, like my face. And you are on a little tube or boat floating around, and then you realize that somebody is sitting right here in the center. And you get off your boat raft that's going around the river, and you decide to take a walk and say hello. And imagine yourself shaking hands with whomever is there at the center and beginning a conversation. The rest is for you. I would be interested to read your comments of any people who try this. I would be very interested to see what you experience with this thought experiment.